Hi, this is Carl Bogar with Historic Military Impressions, making this video from Richmond, Indiana. We are at the Wayne County Veterans Memorial Park, and we were asked to come down here to do an exhibit that was pulled from two of our other exhibits, the Vietnam Experience exhibit and the Hiding in Plain Sight, the Full Integration, A History of Women and Warfare exhibit. So for the women's side, we focused primarily on World War II, and on the Vietnam side, we basically did a little bit more of the field equipment. So I'm going to do a walkthrough of this exhibit. It's like I said, it's a unique hybrid. Hopefully you like it, and thank you for subscribing. For this exhibit, when you enter the tent, when you go to the right or the left, you actually go to two different time periods. To the right, you have World War II. To the left is the Vietnam. So we're going to go to the right first. Our women's exhibit is more of a museum quality exhibit in that there's a lot to read. It's an educational exhibit because obviously there's not a lot of World War II veterans that are female. So we start out with some Women's Army Auxiliary Corps uniforms to show the difference in the uniforms and the buttons before women were able to wear the regular Army logoed button on one side. And then we have a nice uniform that was for a cook that served in the Pacific, the HBT uniform, and then a field jacket, one of the early 50s Women's Nurse Corps uniforms, and then a Marine Corps uniform with some of the boots and some of the other items that they would have used in the field, like a lot of nursing stuff. But on the other side, we start out with the woman's brown uniform with the cape, and then there's placards that you could read. Like I said, we only pulled from the World War II ones, so there's ones on the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, the Women's Army Corps, and the WASPs, Women's Army Auxiliary Service Pilots, if I remember correctly. So there's a lot to read. And like I said, the women's exhibit goes from roughly ancient history all the way to modern, with a lot of placards to read on different individuals, different organizations, the history of like the Marine Corps and what have you. And then the Vietnam side, we also have two of the women's off-duty dresses, the wool and the cotton. And then in the Marine Corps, or the Vietnam side, basically it starts out with the history of the green uniform from Sateen's first pattern jungle fatigues, third pattern jungle fatigues with the gear. And then a small history of the evolution of the camouflage patterns used in Vietnam, starting out with the invisible girdle that would have been used by ARVN forces. And then we have South Vietnamese tiger stripes, American-made advisor tiger stripes, brown dominant girdle, green dominant girdle, the Mitchell camouflage helmet cover, and then some medical equipment. The difference in the poncho liners, green, the girdle, and then some Marine Corps equipment, the two different types of shovels that were used. On the other side, we have a small display of the weapons, Claymore Mine, Bouncing Betty, the M72 Law, the first one, the M72A2 Law, a later version, both fired in Vietnam, machete, woodsman's pail, bayonet, the earliest version of the AR-15 that became the M16, some small amounts of the communication table display, normally in the same position as our normal Vietnam exhibit. And then we moved the food over to the table here. Normally there's a wood display box, but here we have the food exhibit. And we have an exhibit of the different types of currency used. The MPC, what a $10 bill looked like in the 60s. And finally, some South Vietnamese notes. And finally, 2 North Vietnamese notes at the bottom, and then you exit the tent. So, like I said, that concludes a quick walkthrough of this exhibit. Like I said, it's a hybrid exhibit pulled from 2 other existing exhibits. We can specially make exhibits to meet your needs, or you can use one of our pre-canned exhibits. What we found is it's hard for people to come up with a unique idea like what they did here. I was very happy that they decided to do this. It challenged me to come up with a new way of doing things instead of just redoing what we've already done in the past. But sometimes it's difficult for people to vision something. That's why we do have our existing exhibits that we have, our Vietnam, World War II, Century of Service exhibit. So if you'd like to learn more, send me an email at cbogar@hmihistory.com. Check out our website, hmihistory.com, or our Facebook page. As always, like and subscribe. And my next video will probably be back in the store as we get ready to premiere our World War II British exhibit. The Brits are coming, specializing in World War II uniforms, weapons, and equipment used by the Brits during World War II, obviously. There's a lot of saying World War II. So have a great weekend. Thank you for watching. And from Wayne County, Indiana, Richmond, Indiana, the specific city, have a good day.